capsule can get in the wrong space at the wrong time and put everything on hold. Again, not saying that that is necessarily the case right now. Just want to note that we are keeping an eye on that boat out there, and presumably that will be the Coast Guard just monitoring for vehicles that should not be there. Stephen, we both had our share of getting hopes up for
Yeah,
launches,
that's my.
and then a ship just comes into the exact wrong spot, exactly when you hope for it not to.
Starliner Houston on 1 for com check.
CDR loud and clear.
Starliner Houston, we have you loud and clear on 1 as well. We'll call that our L-35 com checks. Moving on, for your awareness, boot team has departed the pad. As a reminder, the environmental seal is up, so you'll have to deal with that if you get out from this point on. And I have your AEL checklist updates, but I'll just summarize them. There's no change from our last. Let me know if you need anything, but no change to the numbers.
Okay, copy. No, we need none of them, no change. And we'll go triage side 12, which is a right turn to the south.
Right turn is correct. And that completes our L-35 updates. Thanks.
Thank you.
And by for LC.
LC Flight Channel 1.
Flight this ALC, standby 1.
Standing by. Go ahead, Flight. This is LC online. Yeah, ready for com check on CST Underground 2? Roger. Here we go.
No, L minus 37 minutes, 54 seconds and counting. You can see they're just beyond the lightning protection tower on the right-hand side of your screen. The A teams for the blue team is leaving the pad perimeter. As you see inside the Starliner spacecraft.
Blue team has cleared the pad.
Roger.
Butch continues to go through the physical manual and the procedures that they are going through for this countdown. Of course, they do have a digital version of this, but sometimes it's always nice to just turn a piece of paper in your hand. And given that Starliner is a very tactile type of spacecraft, it's unsurprising, Stephen, that Butch and Sunny would want to have these manuals, these physical manuals with them as well.
Yeah, these pilots, these astronauts are creatures of habit. They're used to having that with them on Space Shuttle and on Soyuz, which they've both launched aboard on their previous flights. So, the astronauts who have flown Dragon are all happy with the experience on board SpaceX's Crew Dragon, but most of them do acknowledge it is a change for them to kind of make the adjustment to having manual control and a conventional cockpit to using the touchscreens, which by all accounts they are fine with. They enjoy the touchscreens. That has all the functionality they need, but it is more of an adjustment from their normal, the normal way they would fly an aircraft. And Butch and Sunny had mentioned when they got into the Starliner cockpit, they felt right at home.
Absolutely. We are now L minus 36 minutes, 5 seconds and counting. And we're going to go ahead and bid a farewell to our friend Stephen Clark, who has been very generous with his time joining us on the broadcast this morning. Stephen, always good to have you with us. And we'll actually be talking tomorrow when we start our Starship coverage. But for now, where can folks find you if they'd like to keep up with your work at Ars Online?
Well, first of all, you can go to www.arstechnica.com. It's all one word, and you'll see my coverage there. Most recently, stories on Starliner and Starship. And you can follow me on X at Stephen Clark1, where I post links to all my stories there, and also any other tidbits or interesting news or observations.
Fabulous. Well, hope you're able to get some rest today. Good luck with the rest of the journey down to Starbase, and look forward to talking with you in less than 24 hours as we get ready for that launch. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Alrighty, take care. And for those of us sticking with us, we are now L minus 34 minutes,
LC
57 seconds and counting.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Op 60, step 10, step 20. Blast danger area is clear.
Roger.
LC OSM.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I can also give you step 6, step 60. Flight hazard area has been cleared of all personnel accounted for.
Roger.
Taking a look at our live chat here on YouTube. First off, want to thank the more than 18,000 of you who are joining with us live today. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button. It allows more folks to find their way into our live coverage as we are heading into the final 30 minutes before liftoff. And want to thank a few folks who've offered their support for our coverage as well as we've been talking with Stephen. Thanks to Joe Polita for a $10 super chat. Thank you, Joe. Saying great job again. We build model scale rockets, which is very cool. Aerospace Rocketry, which I'm assuming is connected to Joe, also with a mirroring message, but a $10 super chat on its own. Thank you so much, Aerospace Rocketry. Diane Caller with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Diane. Saying Godspeed to the astronauts and the support crew, I'm sure. Diane is checking in from Ormond Beach here in Florida, saying so proud. Want to welcome a couple new channel members, Patrick C. and Joe Girardi, joining us with channel membership at the pad leader level. Welcome aboard to the two of you. We're glad to have you with us. And a thanks to Mama T for gifting 10 Spaceflight Now memberships. Really appreciate that, Mama T. Thanks for the generosity, and to our 10 newest channel members, we're glad to have you with us as well. Be sure to thank her in the live chat if you haven't already. Lastly, for now, thanks to channel member Ralph Kilcup for a $10 super chat. Thank you, Ralph. Good to see you today. Mel Roberts Harold with a $5 super chat, saying hopefully there will be more than 18,000 like and share hits too. And wouldn't that be something? That'll really get up the engagement, and the more folks are commenting in the live chat and liking and sharing the stream, the more easily folks will be able to find it. Just how the YouTube algorithm works. And a thanks to Frank Skurlock for a $2 super chat as well. Appreciate that from you as well, sir. And as I mentioned a little while ago as we were talking with Stephen, that in the past hour, SpaceX founder Elon Musk wishing the Boeing, ULA, and NASA teams well on the Starliner crew flight test mission set to lift off now less than 31 minutes from now. Also retweeted by ULA President CEO Tori Bruno saying thank you, and adding in a comment to a commenter saying that, quote, competition is just part of doing the right thing for customers, which is what we're all here for. And that is an important part for NASA as well, having what they call the dissimilar redundancy of both Starliner and Crew Dragon be able to ferry astronauts to and from the International Space Station. And in now 3 seconds, we will hit
minus
the
30 minutes.
L minus 30 minute
RC,
mark.
conduct weather briefing on Channel 8 Weather Conference Net.
Roger.
Arm controls, start arm hydraulic final preps.
Roger.
LOX 1, perform pogo suppressor charge.
Roger.
Prop 1, perform RD180 transducer converter calibration.
Roger.
PNE2, perform Centaur LH2 SVV cycle test.
Roger. L minus 29 minutes.
Prop 1, LC.
Prop 1, go.
Are we complete?
Yes, RD180 transducer converter calibration is complete and the engine FIV is open.
Roger. Flight control, start flight control final prep.
Roger. LC, PNE2.
Go ahead.
Centaur LH2 SVV cycle tests are complete.
Roger.
RP1 temperature update complete.
Roger.
LC arm control.
Go ahead.
Arm hydraulic final preps are complete.
Roger.
L minus 27 minutes.
L minus 25 minutes.
Now L minus 25 minutes and counting, as you just heard. Things continue to move nominally on this countdown. Heading towards a liftoff at 10:52 a.m. Eastern, 14:52 UTC for our friends joining us from around the world. Want to thank the Goated One for gifting 2 Spacefly Now memberships. Really appreciate that. And to Sven Ripsas for a €2 super chat. Wishing all the best from Berlin, Germany. Good to see Berlin in the house today. And to Stephen McCamey, one of our wonderful channel members, with a $5 super chat as well. Thank you so much for your support this morning.
LC, this flight control.
Go ahead.
Step 90, flight control final preps complete, and Atlas hydraulics at standby pressure.
Roger.
Coming up next in just about a minute from now, the flight director will conduct the go, no go poll to proceed into the terminal count.
23 minutes.
SYS, switch all secondary decoms, RF link, and verify lock.
Roger.
Initiate orbital parameter calculations on primary CCLS.
Roger.
We are now 30 seconds away from that poll being conducted. So let's go ahead and listen in to the mission loops. Hear the results of that poll. Hopefully preparing for a launch in 22 minutes and some change.
L minus 22 minutes.
LC, Lex 1.
Go ahead.
Pogo suppressor charge is complete.
Roger.
LCSYS.
Go ahead.
All secondary. Secondary.
Yeah, you're breaking up, SYS.
All secondary decoms verified on RF link.
I did copy that. Please check your headset.
L minus 21 minutes. L minus 20 minutes.
P&E1, reinitiate AHB charging.
Roger.
RLM, verify redline monitor and event
Starliner,
table are in the
you
correct
can configure
configuration for
deflate
terminal
the
count.
lumbar support.
Verify.
Configure your restraint.
RC, verify solar
Keep your
radiation,
visors up,
acceptable
please.
for
Ground
launch.
here will be commanding
Verify.
off. Suit fan Bravo momentarily.
Starliner copies.
L minus 19 minutes, 28 seconds and counting. According to ULA President CEO Tori Bruno, they are, quote, working our way through various polls. So far, all go. Working no issues. The board is green. And you can see that board in the top of the screen here in the ASOC.
All
That was-
communications switch to channel 1. All personnel and visitors remain in present position until launch. Maintain operational silence in the LCC.
This is the LC with a terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
L minus 18 minutes.
Flight control, perform launch on time verification.
Roger. Launch on time verified.
Roger.
LC P&E1.
Go ahead.
AHB charging reestablished and at flight mass.
Roger.
L minus 17 minutes.
OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch in the enable position.
SRB ignition enabled.
Verify FCO, RCO, and OSM hold fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
Now L minus 16 minutes, 32 seconds and counting. So far, we have not heard going out over the loops the go-no-go poll to proceed, but it seems like things are moving ahead as we're panning and looking at what I believe is Playa Linda Beach, a little bit north of
L minus 16 minutes.
the pad here. It's a great viewing spot if you're in the Florida Space Coast area looking to watch a launch from either Pad 39A or Pad 40 or Pad 41, especially one that has a northeasterly trajectory like we're about to see in just a little over 15 minutes from now.
L minus 15 minutes.
LC flight, channel 1 and air to ground 1 are now merged, going to air to ground 1.
Roger.
LC flight, air to ground 1, ready for contact with Starliner on channel 1.
Roger. Starliner, LC, ComCheck on channel 1.
LC, Starliner, loud and clear.
I have you loud and clear also.
Starliner, Houston, ComCheck, air to ground 1.
Houston, Starliner, loud and clear.
Houston has you loud and clear on air to ground 1.
We are now less than 14 minutes away from the launch of Boeing Starliner spacecraft, launching for the first time with astronauts on board. Commander Butch Wilmore, pilot Sonny Williams, both seasoned astronauts with 2 flights to space apiece, both returning to the International Space Station, the home that they have not known for quite some time, as they'll be doing some manual operations of the Starliner spacecraft on the way as they close into docking and while docked aboard the International Space Station. Lots of data to collect, lots of learning to be had here on this mission, which will last a little more than a week. As you just heard, they have merged the communications with Channel 1. The crew arm is set to retract coming up in about 2 minutes. Want to thank the more than 35,000 of you who are joining with us live this late morning now. If you haven't already, we would love it if you could hit that like button for us. It allows more folks to find this live coverage, as we are now less than 13 minutes away from the launch of Boeing Starliner spacecraft with Butch and Sonny on board.
Starliner, Houston, your suit fan Bravo is repowered. It looks good. Please close your visors. Column closed.
And a good call out. The visors are coming down. They will be zipped up. Allowing the flight suits to be put in a good configuration for this mission.
Houston, Starliner, visors closed.
Houston copies, visors closed.
Earlier on in the countdown, they
12 minutes.
performed a check of the suit fans inside Butch and Sonny's suits. During the last launch attempt on June 1st, there was an issue with those coming on. They were able to troubleshoot that in real time, but between then and now, they have also created some additional updates and figured out a way to make sure those suit fans were in working order. So that is no longer a watch item here. So we are now 11.5 minutes away from liftoff. Taking a look at the live chat, want to thank a few folks for your support this afternoon, or late morning, I should say. Want to thank College or High School Diploma for a $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. Want to thank Cowgirl for a
L minus
119
11 minutes.
Arm controls, though the crew access arm for launch.
Roger.
super chat joining us from Norway. Wishing good luck to Butch and Sonny. Just heard that call out for crew access arm retract. We'll see that arm swing away from the Starliner spacecraft. Here's a view from inside the White Room. And if you notice that NASA meatball in the lower left-hand corner of just outside the door, just beneath that, unfortunately positioned just out of frame, there are 2 important icons on this particular Starliner spacecraft. Little blue outlines of Starliner itself. One that says OFT, the other says CFT, marking the 2 missions that this particular Starliner is designated to fly. See the crew access
10 minutes.
continuing to swing away as
Flight
we're
verify
now
CST-100 on internal power.
Verified.
less than 10 minutes away.
Starliner, configure ordnance for launch.
Touch and win.
All good call-outs from the nets here. Jimmy Saint with a $2 Canadian
Roger.
super chat, wishing Godspeed from Canada. I want to thank Psychonaut69 for gifting a Spaceflight Now membership. Mark Otto for gifting 10. Really appreciate that from the two of you. Aaron Breitbach with a $5 super chat, saying that she is watching from the West Causeway at KSC. Thanks for the great narration. Well, we're very happy to bring you our live launch commentary. We're appreciative of your support of that. Greg Jazz Jr. with a $2 super chat, thanking whomever gifted him the channel membership. So thanks for that. Always great to grow our community organically like that. Agenicity, I think is how you pronounce that. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Kenny Luba with a $5 super chat as well. Thank you, Kenny. And channel member Josh King with a $10 super chat, saying what we're all thinking. Hopefully a third time's the charm today. So again, go Butch and Sunita, and go with Starliner. And to Doc's $5 super chat, hoping for a prayer for the crew on board. Butch Wilmore is actually an ordained minister, and he did offer a prayer with the Boeing's Blue Team prior to their loading on board the Starliner spacecraft. So I'll go ahead and say
8 minutes.
that box has been checked as we are less than 8 minutes from liftoff of this 100th Atlas V rocket to date.
LC arm control.
Go ahead.
Crew access arms stowed for launch.
Roger. LC switch to ready position. All steps are complete prior to status check.
-7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count, Atlas systems, propulsion,
Go.
hydraulics,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
water,
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
LH2,
Go.
has gas,
Go.
electrical systems, airborne,
Go.
ground,
Go.
facility,
Go.
RFFTS,
Go.
flight control,
Go.
GC cube,
Go.
op support,
Go.
comm,
Go.
umbilicals,
Go.
arm control,
Go.
ECS,
Go.
redline monitor,
Go.
quality,
Go.
op safety manager,
Go.
ULA safety officer,
Go.
vehicle system engineer,
Go.
anomaly chief,
Go.
range coordinator,
Clear to proceed.
flight director,
Houston flight is go.
Starliner,
Starliner, go.
launch director,
You have permission to launch.
proceeding with the count. ALC, verify T0 is set for 14:52:15 Zulu.
Verified.
Starliner, net is clear.
Thank you, LC. For everybody listening, just a thought. Sonny and I, as we were traveling to the pad, we saw many American flags, and many of you were waving flags at us. And then as we reached the pad, we look up, and of course there's that American flag on the side of the White Room, also one on the side of the rocket itself. And we know that that represents unity and resilience and unified efforts for the common good. And that's what Sonny and I have witnessed this last month. each of you displaying what this nation's forefathers envisioned, a people committed to God, family, and country, a people who use their gifts and talents for the common good, and are passionate and tough. And we all know that when the going gets tough, and it often does, the tough get going. And you have. And Sonny and I are honored to share this dream of spaceflight with each and every one of you. So with that, LC, let's get going. Now let's put some fire in this rocket, and let's push it to the heavens where all these tough Americans have prepared it to be.
Let's go, Calypso. Take us to space and back.
LC flight, Starliner configured for terminal count.
On my mark,
Roger.
the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark.
And with that, the T-minus
3:55.
clock
Ground power is enabled.
is now synced with the L-minus clock. And we are past the point of the scrub for the second launch attempt. Continuing on with the terminal count, the Starliner crew flight test aboard the 100th Atlas rocket to launch to date.
Atlas hydraulics at flight press.
Some words of encouragement from Commander Butch Wilmore, noting that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and they are ready to light this candle, begin the journey of more than 10 days, a journey years in the making. We are now L-minus 3 minutes and counting.
Pressurizing Atlas tanks.
Securing LO2 stopping.
250.
FTS internal.
Now coming up on the final 2 minutes before liftoff. A big thank you to the more than 62,000 of you who are joining with us live to witness this moment in history as NASA prepares to have its second
159. Vehicle internal.
crewed vehicle that can transport its astronauts to and from the space station from U.S. soil.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
FTS armed.
Now less than a minute and a half to go. Coming up in just about 10 seconds, the
120. OCU's armed.
FCS
launch abort
started
system
immediate
will be
descent.
enabled.
Starliner, last arm to auto.
Last arm auto.
Roger.
1 minute to liftoff.
Rock report range status.
Range green.
54.
PLP started.
We are now 40 seconds away from the
Atlas
launch
at
of the
flight press.
Atlas rocket. The first time since the Mercury
30.
program
Sensor
That
at
is-
flight press.
Atlas family of rockets has sent a human
25.
to space.
Status check.
Go Atlas. Go Centaur.
Go Starliner. Godspeed, Butch and Sonny.
15 seconds. And here we go. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. RD-180 engine start and liftoff. Liftoff of the Atlas V rocket carrying NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. The Starliner crew flight test is now skyward.
Houston, Starliner roll.
Roger, roll.
Starliner the Atlas beginning its rollover maneuver, bringing Butch and Sonny into a heads-up position. Let's listen to the roar of that RD-180 engine and those two solid rocket motors. The Atlas continues to climb as we're approaching Mach 1. The Atlas V now soaring through the clouds above Florida's Space Coast.
You got a good throttle up.
And this view from our friend Pete Carsons with Max Q Productions. Great view of that initial burn of the Atlas's RD-180 engine and the two solid rocket boosters. SRB jettison is coming up now in just a
Good
little,
SRB burnout.
about 30 seconds.
Good SRB.
About T plus 2 minutes and 20.4 seconds.
Good handle.
Good handle.
Coming up now about 10 seconds away from SRB jettison. And there they go. Now about 2.5 minutes into this first crewed flight test for the Starliner spacecraft. Things are moving nominally with this Atlas V flight. The third time, in fact, was the charm. Coming up next will be the Atlas booster engine cutoff BECO.
CLT in that good trajectory.
CLT.
It's coming up at about T plus 4 minutes, 28.9 seconds. And a beautiful view of Florida's Space Coast in the eastern United States as the Atlas vehicle continues its ascent. It's going to be flying just under an orbital trajectory. It'll allow the safest flight path, according to ULA, for the Starliner spacecraft. If something were to happen during this ascent period, it gives the most opportunities for an abort if one is needed. The Starliner spacecraft is capable of doing its own orbital insertion burn, which it will do following separation of the spacecraft. Starliner separation comes up at T plus 14 minutes, 55.4 seconds. That orbital insertion burn coming up at T plus 31 minutes into flight. Again, we are just now less than 30 seconds away from Atlas booster engine cutoff BECO. Coming up at T plus 4 minutes, 28 seconds. The Atlas V's main engine is pulling back to maintain a constant 3.5 Gs of acceleration. ULA also notes that the Centaur dual engine upper stage is beginning its chill down sequence before its ignition comes up. And you see separation. After what appeared to be a brief loss of visual signal, those two
Staging. Decals open. That's sublimator rack.
Decal sub-act. Great Atlas.
There goes the aero skirt that you just saw. No longer needed for aerodynamic reasons.
Staging was good. You have good control.
Been jettisoned from the Starliner spacecraft.
Starliner, you had good booster performance. You're up to plus 31.
Plus 31.
You will be opting to shift to the computer rendering animation of the Centaur upper stage of the Atlas V rocket. Appearing to have some sort of hiccup getting the video signal from the onboard cameras. Now a little more than 6.5 minutes into flight. The burn of the Centaur upper stage engines will continue on until T plus 11 minutes, 55.4 seconds. Those engines will cease firing, go into a slight coast, and then Starliner will separate at T plus 14 minutes, 55.4 seconds.
Good Centaur.
Good Centaur.
Now coming up on 8 minutes into flight, you can see the live telemetry data.
St. John's open.
In the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Call out just noting as they are passing through various abort areas, should they be needed. Now about 8.5 minutes into flight, things continue to go well for the first crewed mission of Starliner.
Starliner, MECO converged 11:5 to 11:52. Good perp, you're at 34 to 36 seconds.
11:52, 34 seconds.
No action, Starliner, on the LCL. That's just the system coming up into controlling mode.
Outstanding. No action.
Now coming up on 10 minutes into flight, things continue to move well with the Atlas V upper stage, Centaur. We are now less than 2 minutes away from the Centaur main engine cutoff, or MECO 1.
Starliner, you have good cooling.
Good cooling.
Of course, with a good launch of the Atlas V rocket, the Brevard County Emergency Operations Center has now deactivated their launch operations support team. No longer needed, as this mission is well on its way on its own.
Seconds to MECO.
30 seconds.
See here the clock out here at the press lawn, just a few seconds away from MECO. And there we go. Didn't hear a call out for it, but see it graphically represented on the screen here.
Nominal MECO Starliner.
And there's that confirmation.
Nominal MECO.
Acknowledged by Butch Wilmore on board Starliner. And now we are just minutes away from Starliner being sent off on its own. Spacecraft separation is set for T plus 14 minutes and 55.4 seconds. And then for just the third time, Starliner will be
LVSEP 14:5 to 1452.
1452.
on its own here. As I mentioned, it will perform its own orbital insertion burn.
LC LAX 1.
That OI is coming up at T plus 31 minutes, or just about 11:23 a.m. Eastern. 15:23 UTC for our friends joining around the world.
LC LAX 1 on 1.
Go ahead.
Atlas LO2 storage tank below 10 PSIG.
Roger. Readiness poll for
Is that a
pad
different
entry.
loop that we're hearing?
Atlas LO2.
Ready.
Sounds
Water
very
system.
quiet. I didn't know if we were supposed to hear that. That was... Sorry, just some background communication here. Now, T plus 14 minutes, 11 seconds and counting. Less than a minute away from Starliner separation.
No action on the cabin temp Starliner.
No action.
Now 20 seconds away from spacecraft SEP. And with that, Starliner flying free once again, this time with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams on board.
LVSEP confirmed.
Good LVSEP.
Just to reiterate, I know I've mentioned that Starliner is performing its own orbital insertion. Essentially, they are not in orbit just yet. The Starliner spacecraft will raise its own apogee and speed to an orbital velocity to begin its journey chasing down the International Space Station. That orbital insertion burn coming up at T plus 31 minutes. The Atlas V flies in a just beneath orbital flight path for this mission in order to maximize the number of opportunities for an abort had one been necessary, but now that we are at this point in the mission, Starliner is on its own.
Starliner, your nominal TDRA show MDL is active. You have good targeting for OI.
Good targeting.
For those that recall the first orbital flight test of Starliner back in 2019, it was that burn that caused the hiccups. The onboard timing system was way off course, and so the spacecraft thought it was much farther in the mission than it actually was. And by the time they were able to get things back on track as far as that was concerned, they had used up more fuel than they were comfortable with making a docking attempt.
Yeah, if you could relay a message to our brethren at ULA.
We're all listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, they've been a member of the family for a long time, but now it's official, and we want to welcome them to human spaceflight.
We all copy all and really appreciate the words.
And Houston Starliner, we are on the tablets and in insertion monitor.
Copy tablets, we're with you, insertion monitor.
And Houston Starliner, last arm is off. backup control switches, enable 1 on, enable 2 off. SM RCS is the mode.
We copy off. Enable 1 is on, enable 2 is off. SM RCS, you're in a good config.
Good config.
Your EXDV targets are on board and good.
Good EXDV.
We are now T plus 20 minutes, 46 seconds and counting. Now just about 10 minutes away from that orbital insertion burn. Again, this will raise the Starliner spacecraft, put it on a path to begin chasing down the International Space Station. The docking set up for less than 24 hours from now, or just thereabouts.
Starliner, still no action on your cabin temp. You're in a good config. It's 74 degrees in there. Yeah, and that's just due to that T2 sensor sitting beside the light. So we're actually going to inhibit that particular sensor. We'll let you know when we bring it back online.
Okay, great. Looks like we're on our way to thrust align.
Denver.
Now T plus 23 minutes, 56 seconds and counting into the mission. So far things are going smoothly with the first crewed flight of the Starliner spacecraft. Again, the next big milestone coming up.
Starliner, we did not see the hand controller deflection. Just wanted to know if you did that yet.
No, we'll get it now.
All good.
We are watching for that all-important orbital insertion burn coming up at T plus 31 minutes. That burn lasting a total of 42 seconds to put Starliner in a stable orbit. There will then be another burn at T plus 1 hour and 15 minutes that will circularize Starliner's orbit, beginning the process, set them on a path for rendezvous.
Starliner, good config for the OI burn.
Good config for OI.
We're now less than 4 minutes away from that orbital insertion burn. As you've been looking at this 3D rendering of the Starliner spacecraft, you may have noticed some colorful bursts from around the solar panel. This is the aft end of the spacecraft, the service module. Starliner spacecraft has 28 what are called reaction control thrusters all around the vehicle, which is part of its propulsion system. And I mentioned a little bit earlier on a share of camaraderie across aerospace companies. In the last couple of minutes, did have a comment posted from Gwen Shotwell, the head of day-to-day SpaceX operations, saying congratulations to NASA, Boeing, and ULA on this morning's launch to the space station. Godspeed to Butch, Sunny, and Starliner on your flight. Coming up a little bit later on this morning, we are expecting a post-launch news conference that will include NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, among others. Should be a little more than an hour from the orbital insertion burn. Part of the operational part of the Starliner mission, of course, as we were talking about with Stephen Clark a little bit earlier on in the broadcast, and as we've mentioned before, it's going to be seeing Butch and Sunny take the stick and do some manual piloting of the Starliner spacecraft. That demonstration expected to begin about 2 hours and 40 minutes into flight. or actually about 2 hours 45 minutes into flight, coming about an hour after some crew remarks at about T plus 1 hour and 50 minutes into this mission. They'll start by pointing spacecraft towards the TDRS satellite. That's the T plus 2 hours 45 minute timeline part of the mission. Then they'll do some other maneuvering at just about 3 hours and 5 minutes. Delta V abort burn demo at T plus 3 hours and 40 minutes. We are coming up on that orbital insertion burn, now just about 5 seconds away. Let's listen in. This burn set to last about 42 seconds in total, so we're about halfway through the burn.
We take a look. That was a good OI burn. You're maneuvering to NavCal 1.
And handshakes in the control room. A round of applause in the ASOC and a standing ovation for all the teams that have brought us to this moment, led by Leroy Kane in the center with the blue shirt and the tie there. It's been a long journey for folks to get here. Now breathing a sigh of relief, getting past the points that caused the wrap down of the orbital flight test back in 2019, getting past that orbital insertion burn. They were able to do this once back in 2022 for that uncrewed orbital flight test number 2. And now with astronauts on board, the Starliner spacecraft is now making its way to the International Space Station. Again, set for docking process to begin tomorrow late morning. Docking and soft capture is expected at about T plus 25 hours and 24 minutes.
Starliner Houston.
Go ahead, Starliner Houston.
Yeah, you do have good cooling. The sublimator is working. We are watching it, though, because the water usage is just a little more than we thought we were going to see. You probably noticed that. It's a reason for the advisory there. From the ground, we'd like to swap you over to the other leg. So we're going to close sublimator leg 1, wait for about 60 seconds, and then open up leg 2. You'll see us do that. No impact or action.
Okay, we copy. We'll be watching. Thank you.